Welcome, everybody. This is Whatever with REVER, and tonight we're going to be talking about making your 2026 the best riding year ever. I am Kyle Nagel. I'm the product content specialist, and I'm coming to you tonight from Sandpoint, Idaho. And we've got Travis Poole, our marketing coordinator from the deserty Colorado area. Are you still riding right now, Travis? Good weather?
Yeah, this is probably the best time of year to ride out here.
Jealous.
Yeah.
I am still riding here, but we should have snow. We should have like 2 feet of snow on the ground, so it's weird. And Maha Blackwood is our customer support specialist, joining us from sunny California. She's the hostess that does the mostest. And I know you've got riding weather down there right now.
Oh yeah, it's totally riding weather down here. I just need a bike to ride.
If anybody's close to Maha, if you could let her borrow a bike. Tonight we are not going to be joined by Blake. He was feeling a little under the weather, so we gave him the night off. But he is in charge of our marketing and creative. All right, Travis, take it away. What is REVER?
Cool. So REVER is a platform for motorcycle riders, and you can use it to plan, discover, and track new rides. We're going to get more into detail on how all this works as we go on. But just a quick overview of what is REVER. With REVER, you can discover new rides, whether you're in your local area or in a brand new area you haven't been before. We have content for all kinds of riding. So if you're looking for windy canyons on your sport bike or long rides across states on your Harley, or even off-road riding on your adventure bike or dirt bike, that's all on REVER. One of the coolest things about REVER is our planning feature. So you can use it as simply as going from point A to point B. You can also make much more complex routes that have multiple different waypoints throughout. And then we have features like twisty routing and avoid highways. So even if you don't know exactly the roads that you're going, you can just say, I'm going to go from here to here and turn on those features. And REVER will give you a really cool route to do that with. And then REVER is also a social platform. So we have communities that you can join. We have challenges you can compete in, and you can always share your rides within the app or through text message and other ways too, to show your friends what you're doing. So yeah, REVER is free to use. But we have a lot of features that are better with REVER Pro.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that, Travis. There is something for everybody here. So let's get into our agenda for the night. We are going to demonstrate the web application. And some of you are maybe just learning that we have a website. It makes it a lot easier for planning. But we're going to go through planning, discovering, sharing, and participating. And then we're going to jump into a demonstration on the mobile app. And we're going to show you how to navigate, how to plan and discover and share and connect with other riders. We're not going to dive too deep into any one of these things because that is a lot to cover. And just for those of you who are new to REVER, and I know it's about 60% of you based on the survey we sent out before, in these Whatever with REVER classes, we would typically plan or cover 2 of those topics, like planning and navigating. So we are going to try to jump into all of it, but because of that reason, we're not going to go super deep into any of it. I just want to everyone to the website and to the app to show you where things are. And then if you're looking for more, you can go to our YouTube at REVER Moto channel. You can check out some of our old Whatever with REVER webinars. In November, we did one on planning and navigation. Next month, we'll probably do a deep dive on planning again. So you can always find more information out there that way. Some notable terms for tonight: a ride. When we talk about a ride, it's an interactive, navigable content in REVER. So you can click on it, you can edit it, you can save a copy of it. A track is an ordered series of location points that do not require further processing or calculation. So a track in REVER, just like a lot of other GPS devices, is something that's going to stay the way that you built it. It will not reroute. It will not change up on you. It is your ride the way you customized it. And then the opposite of that is a route, which is an ordered list of waypoints representing a series of turning points leading to a destination. And so when you're using turn-by-turn directions in REVER, a route is something that's dynamic. It can change, but it will always go through those waypoints that you set. So if you want to go through a particular road, you don't want to be rerouted past that, make sure to place a waypoint on it. Okay, so just a couple of notable terms to get us all oriented. I am going to switch up presentation here a little bit. And this is the REVER website. So REVER was born from the idea of creating a way to track rides with your phone and then share them with other motorcyclists. Our founders, one of our founders came from Butler Maps, a motorcycle map company, and they make paper maps and find the best places to ride anywhere. But they decided to build an app, and originally it was called Ride Social. So it was both for the purpose of tracking their rides when they were finding the best places to ride, and then also being able to share that out with people. So that's where REVER comes from. Actually, a French word means to dream, and here's where all the best dreams happen, is right here on the map. So when you do open up the website, this is the first thing you see. Nice big map here. And this is where you're going to plan out your rides from. So I'm just going to go through a lot of the features on this map before I get into planning. But starting from the left, you do have the option to create a route. So this is where all the planning lives. And then if I hit this little back arrow here, you can see the 3 of our routing engines. And if you want to learn more about each one of those, you can click the I information. We will cover that a little bit tonight, but you can learn more just by clicking that. So next to that is the Discover tab. This is where you can find all kinds of featured content in REVER, and we do have a lot of featured content from several different partners. We've got Rider Magazine. They submit routes, and you'll find those under the featured section. Blake Connor, who used to work for REVER, is now working for Cycle World again. He had worked for them previously and is a prominent rider and writer and has submitted several routes. Common Tread team, if you're familiar with one of our sister companies with Revzilla, they've submitted featured routes. And then next to that, we have Community Curated, which is going to be routes that are submitted by riders like you. They come in to us, Travis and I take a look at these routes. We make sure that they're meant for consumption, for general consumption, for everybody to discover these places to ride, and then we put them on the map. And then we have things like the backcountry discovery routes, which, if you're not familiar with those are multi-day trips. They're off the grid. They're, the most remote, usually routes through a state or through a region. They have about 20, releasing their 21st one this next month, I believe, Montana. But Backcountry Discovery Routes is a partner, and really cool multi-day adventure style riding there. That's all under all terrain. We also have paved routes as well. And this is going to be your best way to find rides that do stay on the pavement. Obviously, road conditions are always changing, and some of these routes have been in here. Some of these rides have been in here since we started REVER. And so you should always check before you go, or if you're really concerned about staying on the pavement, maybe zoom in on the map a little bit more and see if it looks like it is paved. I'll show you how to do that here soon, but paved content is the best way to find all the road stuff. And then these are going to be your tools for when you're actually planning a route. So I'll dive into those a little bit more as I'm actually planning, but you've got an undo arrow, a redo, and then this polyline tool right here is actually going to be for connecting 2 spots that maybe there's not a road to connect 2 places. You can just take this, create a route, and connect 2 places. So let's say there's a creek crossing or something like that. This is what the polyline tool is for. If you ever hop in and you think, oh, I need to create a route by pressing this pencil because that's how I draw it in, you're going to find that it does not snap to the road. It just creates straight lines. If you've ever had that happen, take the polyline tool off. You can clear out those waypoints, and then as you plot along, it should snap to the road just like that. So that is what that's for. Another one that was in the tools there shows you, you can hide the route path. So if you're trying to look at the road underneath, or if you're layering up some route content that we already have, you can hide that route and then bring it back. And then this just clears out all the waypoints. Let's say that you're planning a big multi-day trip. The way that I would start out with doing this is, first of all, I would create my entire trip plan from the very beginning. So where I'm going to start and then where I'm going to end. I would do that with A to B routing, and I'll tell you why this is. A to B routing is going to give you the most direct way in between the waypoints. It's going to be the quickest route, and that's useful when you're starting out planning. Let's say I'm going to take a multi-day trip to Alaska, like I talked about in the beginning. I'm starting from my home in Sandpoint. I can type that in there, and the end goal is Fairbanks. So I can see how long that route itself is going to take. And I can zoom out by scrolling, or I can use the plus and minus here. But that's a pretty big trip, 2,213 miles. I'm obviously not going to ride this in one day. So I don't want this to be my full route. I'm not going to work. I'm going to start with this, but then I'm going to break this into other rides. And this is how we recommend you plan in REVER, because then you're able to kind of edit the sections down in a more manageable way. So I'll take this and I'll plan out each day individually, but I'm going to start with this one. This is how you would plan a route. This is going to be A to B, so it's the quickest way possible. And I might not take the quickest way, but I'm going to do this for my first section. I can go down here and I can just, for the fun of it, I can see what the twisty route is going to be. It actually doesn't add too much mileage, so maybe I want to stick with that, but I am going to turn twisty routing off for now. I can avoid tolls, I can avoid highways, and I can avoid ferries that way. So this is my overall plan. I know it's going to take me several days, but I'm going to go ahead and save this as is. I'm going to title it. And then I might put a little ride description in there. It depends on if you're sharing it with people or if you're using this as sort of your planning notes. You can put those in there. And then let's say we're going to take this trip in June. I don't think it's advised to start much earlier than that because it's pretty snowy up there. Icy. You can you don't have to put a vehicle in here. You can list out a vehicle if you'd like, and then you can put the surface on there, but you also don't have to put that. I know this is going to be a mixed surface ride, so I'm going to put that in there, and it's not a commute. This is if you're tracking all of your rides and including your commute to work. You can track separately from what's maybe more an exciting ride, and you can also organize all your commutes by clicking that toggle right there. I can make this ride private. If I do that, then nobody on REVER can see it. If you share out a link to it, it will not be visible. It'll actually take away the option to share a deep link. But what you can do if you still want to share this ride out with people and you want to make it private is you can just share a GPX file. You can email it or send that however you want. So that's a way to make it private and still be able to share it with the people you want to. And then I mentioned earlier that we have curated route content, community curated, and that's what this last toggle is for. So if I hit submit ride to discover, that's going to come to me and Travis. We're going to check it out to see if we want to add it to the map. In general, we're looking for day rides, so less than 300 miles typically. I know some of you iron butt riders ride a lot further than that, But we're really looking for the content that makes sense for a wide group of people. And we like to see the highlights in there. We like to see good photos. Give it a good title. Make it something that's memorable. And this is just going to remind you to do all that. But I'm not submitting this one. I haven't put enough work into it yet, so this is just the start of my trip. I can hit save here. I could add any photos if I wanted to, but I don't need to yet. So I'll just hit save. So I saved my ride. Now I want to find it. So I'm going to go into my rides right here. And I'm going to scroll down. And then you can see all of the rides on the map here. You can do thumbnail style. You can do a list. And then they're grouped by tracked rides, planned rides, and then you can save rides as a favorite. So if you do have a trip that you're planning, you can put them all in your favorites and have them in that folder. So this was a planned ride. It's right here, the Alaska trip, so I can pull that up. And what I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to save a copy of it so that this trip is, the integrity of this trip is maintained, and now I can edit off of this one. So what that allows you to do is use the same waypoints. So I just hit save copy, and I'm going to hit edit ride, and I'm going to start planning out day one. How far can I actually get? So I've gotten rid of my end waypoint, and if I really wanted to, I could actually undo that just so I can see where I'm going. And I want to know how far I can feasibly get on the first day. So I'm going to scroll along this line, and if you hit this elevation chart right here, you can kind of see how much mileage you're getting. So I'm only going to go about 300 miles. I'm not even going to go that far because I can see on the map right there that Cranbrook is a little bit closer, and that'd be a good endpoint at 246 miles. So I'll put a waypoint right there, and then I'm going to zoom in and make sure that that waypoint's better placed. So now I'm probably going to need a hotel for the night, right? Or maybe I'm going to camp. If I go right here to points of interest, I can find fuel, I can find food, lodging. Camping is provided through the dirt, spelled D-Y-R-T. And we'll kind of zoom out here and see where there might be some camping sites. Give the map a second to populate there. There's one over here in Fernie. That might actually be worthwhile, but let's see. Not a lot of campsites popping up, so maybe I'll do lodging instead. There's a hotel right there. The Prestige Rocky Mountain, or a Best Western. So I'm just going to place my finishing waypoint right there. It's actually an intermittent waypoint right now, but I'm going to delete the Fairbanks waypoint. And there it is. That's my first day of the trip. So I'll zoom out here. Now let's say I don't want to stick to the A and B route, and I want to find a little more interesting way to go. I mentioned that we started with Butler motorcycle maps, and we have all of that content within the app. So I'm going to take a look and see if there's any Butler G1, G2, or G3s near me. Looks like there's one this way. So I can drag this route over here and follow that. And there we go. I will be on a Butler G2 for part of the way. Not too much more. Butler content isn't as prevalent outside the US. There is Butler content all over the world, but certainly a lot more in the US. And so That's why I'm not seeing much there, but I could also toggle on, by going back to Discover, I could put featured rides on the map. And I could put community curated rides on the map. And then I can plan out my route just by, highlighting over the top of all of it. So I'm asking my computer to do quite a bit while I'm also casting, webcasting. So I'm going to turn some of this off, clear all the POIs, just showing you what all is possible while you're planning a route. A couple other things on the map. So you can change map styles. You can choose satellite here. What's really cool with satellite is you can turn it into 3D mode, and then you can really see what the terrain is going to be like. So this one I use quite often when we're planning out routes for like our Get On ADV Fest that we do in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I can go in and see what a road is like before I even ride it, and I know whether or not it's going to be too challenging just by turning on that 3D filter there. So I've got my day one route now. I'll go ahead and save that one. I'm going to title it day one, and I could put more notes in there if I wanted to. And then you have the option to share this out. So if you make it private, you won't be able to share a deep link. The deep link is a smart link that whatever device you are looking at the link on, it'll recognize it and it'll take you to the appropriate place. So if you send a deep link in an email and somebody's looking at it on their computer, it's going to take them to the website. If you send it via text message and they're looking at it on their phone, it's going to take them into the mobile app. So that's what a deep link is. You can go here and copy it and then send that out however you want to. And people will have access to that whether or not they have a REVER account. It's only going to show them a preview if they don't have, if they haven't signed up for even a free REVER account. So it'll show them the notes, it'll show them the title and a little picture with the map. But that's how you use deep links. You can also email it. You can send it via REVER once you've added friends. And then you can even embed it into a website. And then one of our newest options here is that you can share it socially too. So you can download this image, you can share it on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, whichever social app you use. You can change the background a little bit there, go with the topo, all kinds of options here. You can even add in a custom image. So that's pretty cool for sharing socially. All right, and I mentioned that if I had made this private, I can still export it as a GPX file. You can do that if it's public, and so I'll show you how to share that as a GPX. You go into this screen, and 99% of rides that you share, you can share them with track and static line right here. That's going to send all the information that's pertinent in the route, and that'll be, you'll be able to upload that to your Garmin or whatever other GPS device that you use. So we always recommend just download the track static line. All these other things are kind of legacy things that have been here since the app started, almost 10 years ago. So we do need to go through this again and hope to update that soon, but track line is going to be the best way to share that out as a GPX file. I mentioned that you can add it to your favorites. So every ride that you add to favorites will go into a folder. And friends can comment on these rides. They can give you a thumbs up on it. If you share it out with a large group, people can note, hey, there was a log in the middle of this trail on January 10th. Has somebody cut it out yet? Or, useful stuff like that. So, and then if you need to edit any of those details, you do it right here from the ellipsis, edit, and you can go back in, change the waypoints, change the description, whatever you need to. All right. So I briefly touched on Discover. I'm curious if we have any questions on that. I mentioned that we have featured routes, we have community curated routes, we have it under all terrain, and we have it under paved. We also have the Butler content right here, as well as over here. So the Butler content, other than G1s, is actually going to be segments. And so they're not clickable routes. They are ride segments that you can plan your route over the top of. So they just look like a worm on the map, and I can go, as long as I'm in create route, I can just plan right over the top of that. I'm going to clear those out. Like I mentioned, there's not Butler content everywhere. We noticed that there was a gap kind of in the Midwest and in a lot of other places that are interesting to ride. And so we wanted to fill that map in, and we decided to use, it's not really AI, it's more machine learning, but we taught it how to find these segments that are like Butler roads. So some of the best places to ride, the twistiest places to ride. And as I zoom in here, my computer's thinking pretty hard. We've rated it on a color gradient scale. So the cooler blue the route is, maybe the less interesting it is, the less twisty. And then as it starts to heat up there, purples and pinks and reds, it gets a lot more interesting. So this is the AI Route Scout segments, and you can plan over the top of those just like you can Butler content. And you do have to be zoomed in at a certain level to see it. So in your own free time, go ahead and scroll the map, see what you can find. AI Route Scout is only in the US at this time. If we get the licensing to do it outside the US, we'll add those to the map as well. But it complements our Butler content. All right. So that pretty much covers planning and Discover. I showed you how to share a GPX file and share a deep link. Travis, do you want to go through communities and challenges? Basically, just participate in the map.
Cool. I guess we'll start with communities. So you'll just click up there in the top, and here you can search for a community that you want to join if you know the name of it. So yeah, we do Rider Magazine as an example. We'll take a second and it'll pop up. You'll be able to see it on the map. If there's a specific one in your area, it'll pop up there. And so you can click it and you can join it on the right. Sometimes communities are private, so you'll need access to it to join it if it's private, but if it's public, you can just click join. And communities pretty much act as folders. So there's going to be a description of kind of what to expect, what it's about, what the rides are. And then all of the rides can just pop right in there. So it's a really good place to kind of keep a list of certain rides you want to keep separate. And you can use them for yourself or for your friends or really in any way that you want. But just think of a community as kind of a folder to keep specific rides together.
And there's a lot more than 6 routes in here. It just takes the map a second to populate there. But you can see where all those rides are located there.
So you can see the activities that people have done in the community. So these are just the different users in your community tracking their rides. Events, you have special events popping up. I don't think we usually see that too often. And then leaderboard, I think, would have to do with miles and total activities. So it's a good way to, if you're a little competitive with your buddies. And then members is just pretty self-explanatory. That's just everyone who's in there. And you can have, there are admins who are able to edit and add rides to the community. And then there's just regular people that are just in there for the to see the rides.
Right on. Okay, you want to hop to challenges?
Yep. So again, challenges up there in the top. And again, all these, we'll go over mobile a little bit later, but these are both accessible on mobile as well. So you'll see that toggle right in the top middle, and right now it's set on open challenges. So that's where you probably want to leave it. That is the challenges that are open to the public right now. And if you scroll down, you can just kind of see these different challenges that are open. Some of them are more specific to an area. If you go up to that FIM challenge, that's more for Europe, and you need to join. It's more of a private challenge. You can join and pay through a third party to get into it. But there's some pretty cool waypoints in that if you were in Europe. If you go back to the main screen, I think kind of the two main challenges that we just launched would be the Road Warrior Challenge. And this is something that we do every year. It doesn't have like specific points of interest. It's just you join the challenge and you're really just trying to get as many miles as you can in the year. And for this, we actually give out prizes. So every month we'll choose a winner. You can't win more than once. So if you win for the month, then you're not eligible for the next month. But we'll give out prizes for that with gift cards. And then for the entire year, whoever has the most miles will get a bigger, cooler prize. And then we also just launched this Heroes Memorial Ride POI challenge. So this is kind of a different example of a challenge because it has to do with points of interest. So our friend Keith at the Motorcycle Relief Project put all these waypoints together, and they're basically memorial sites and just cool points for veterans and for our social servants, I guess, just across the U.S. And so when you go to one of these points and get within one of the areas while tracking, you'll get a point of interest as a point on there. And this one, we're not giving out prizes because it is more just to raise money for the Motorcycle Relief Project. But yeah, those are kind of the two main styles of challenges that we have.
Yeah, excellent. And then just a couple more things on this screen. You can see the map there. You can check out which points you have achieved on the POI challenges specifically. And you can see the leaderboard to see how everybody else has been doing. Scroll through the whole list there. And then with both challenges and communities, right here at the top, well, almost the top, right where the ellipsis is, you are able to share those out via deep links. So again, you can email, you can text that out, share it with a friend, get them to join it with you. Is there a way to put your own POIs in the system? Currently, we do not have user-generated challenges, so we are only accepting essentially sponsored challenges, or like this one we've worked with Keith in the past. He actually put together our Crooked Raven challenge. And so they're a decent amount of work. And we want to make sure that we're going to get a lot of people into the challenges because these are open to everybody. And so we want to make sure that the points are spread out across, a pretty big area too, so it's applicable. But right now you're not able to put your own POIs. That is something that is on the roadmap, and it would be a nice feature to have. I think it is time to go ahead and jump into the mobile application. I know there's a lot more things on here. I would say be curious, hop into the REVER website, click things, see how they work. I forgot to mention that you can upload GPX files as well. You can do it just by dropping those in there. But yeah, click around and look at things. Elevation profile, try the different map styles, turn the map around by double clicking, tilting, doing all that, and then you can go back to it by clicking that north. So the more you play with it now, especially if it's the off season for you now, the more you'll understand how to use it when it is time to ride. And I would say the same thing for navigating. Try using all the navigating features that we have. Try planning out a ride and going for a ride before, taking off on that multi-day Alaska trip without having used it before.
And Kyle, it might be good to briefly go over privacy zones before we get into the navigating and planning and stuff. Just kind of show everyone how to get to that really quick.
Go to this drop down right by your name and then go into settings. Privacy zones right here. You can add a new one. You can put where that is and what the radius is that it covers and name it. and then you just hit save. So what the privacy zone does is when you're tracking a ride, if you don't mark private on it, or even when you're planning a ride, if you don't mark private, but you have a privacy zone set up, then anybody else who views that route in REVER, anyone you send it to, or anyone who sees it through activities on a community page or something like that, will not be able to see where your route goes in that privacy zone. So you can obscure the location of your home or your office or your favorite drinking spot, whatever you want to hide there. Keep your private parts private.
And it'll work pretty much the same way in the app as well. It'll just be in your settings. You'll scroll down to the privacy zones and you can set them in the same way.
This is the mobile application, and it opens up to the map just like the website does. From this screen, you can both plan a ride, you can discover, and you do that by going up to the top, and it's as simple as typing in where you want to go. So let's find my nearest Starbucks. Okay. Luckily, there's one pretty close by. Okay, and that's how you create a route. You can change it from here to a twisty route just by clicking this. I can drag and add a waypoint. And you can set the route into reverse just by clicking that. I'm going to zoom out on the map here a little bit so you can see what it's doing. Reverse your route. Shows you how long it's going to take to get there, how far away it is. So it started out as a simple A to B route, but I did click on twisty, so it's going to make it a little bit twistier. There's not too many twisty ways to get to Starbucks here, so it didn't change this one. But and then you can open up this ellipsis, and you have all those same route options to avoid highways, avoid tolls, avoid ferries, and then there's the twisty route option again. You can use this zoom button, or you can zoom around with your finger. Sometimes it's easier with a gloved hand to just use those zoom buttons. And then when I'm all done and ready to ride it, I just hit done, and I can either save this for later or I can start it right now. And I'm ready for my coffee, so I'm going to start it right now. You have two options, follow track line and turn-by-turn directions. So when I mentioned before, there's a difference between tracks and routes. This is where that comes into play. If you hit follow track line, it's going to be exactly like the line that you laid out on the map. If you hit turn by turn, you will get turn by turn directions, but you can be rerouted based on traffic or if you get off of your route. And then what it's going to do when that happens is it will still take you through the waypoints that you want to go through, but it's going to find the most optimized way to get there. So it starts out in the direction that I'm facing. As soon as you start moving, it will turn to the direction of travel. And if you get off your route and you just want the quickest way back to the next waypoint, you're going to hit skip waypoint. And when you do that, it's going to direct you back onto your route through the next waypoint. So you might miss part of it, but as long as you can get to the next waypoint, you'll be good to go. It gives you alternate route options as well. It'll tell you how much longer it'll take to go that way. And then it does have a countdown or an ETA for your arrival, as well as the mileage and what time you'll get there. I guess that's the same as an ETA. Gives you the time.
It gives you an ETE and an ETA.
Yes. Thank you, Maha.
There you go.
If I want to, I can still have the audio navigation in my Bluetooth headset, but maybe I don't want to see this, the route like this on the map. Maybe I just want to see the map. I can collapse that just like that. And then I can zoom in on the map and see what all my options are, all the different ways I can go. And then you can hit exit. And when you do stop tracking a ride, you are able to then save it. So anytime you're navigating, it's always going to track. You don't have to save that ride. If it wasn't something worth saving, then don't worry about it. You can delete it down here at the bottom. If you do want to save it, if you want to add notes and the vehicle that you used, you can put that in there, what kind of surface it was. And then, like I said, the description and notes in there. You can add photos. You can even, if you are someone who vlogs, you bring a camera with you when you go and you're talking about the route and all that stuff and you upload it to YouTube, you can take that YouTube link and you can put it in right there and it'll show up on your ride card. So that's a pretty cool thing, underutilized feature, but it's really nice to have actually. And then you can mark it as private, you can mark it as a commute, or if it was really good, definitely submit it to Travis and I, put the notes in there, put the photos, and submit that ride for our Discover content. If part of the ride was really good and you wanted to edit it after the fact, you can always trim that route. And I don't think this is, I didn't really move anywhere, so there's not much I can show you on trimming, but you would just trim from the start or trim from the end and then save it. Okay, I think the next thing I want to talk about is finding the planned ride that we did earlier. So when you're logged in with the same account on the website and on your phone, you can find all the planned rides that you did by going over here at the bottom to the ride feed. So I'm going to go into the feed. I'm going to drop down my rides and I can find my favorites, which I told you is a good organizational tool. There I have the Alaska trip. It's also going to be in my planned rides because it is a planned ride. And this is where you can see that it's marked as a favorite. And I can undo that. I can remark it as a favorite. That just makes it a little bit easier to access a group of rides. And so I'm constantly switching out which are my favorite based on what trip I'm going to go do. But here's where that ride is. I can like it, I can comment on it, I can share it out, and then I can edit the details. So if I wanted to, I can actually go in and change the description, change the photos, do all that from there. And I can also edit it from my phone. So if I go down here, click edit route, let's say I don't want to take that little detour that I took on the G1 or G2, I think it was. I can edit these out. I'll just go and click those. And now I just have my ending point in, I forget where that was, Cranbrook. And hit done. There we go. Now my route is edited. I can save it. And by the way, so now that ride card is changed. So if I shared this ride plan out with a bunch of people and I'm editing it for the group because I'm the ride leader, all they have to do is go into that ride card and it's already changed for them. So if you're in charge of the group while you're on a multi-day trip or something like that, you can edit the route on the fly. And then when you send them the link, or if they already have the link, or if you put them in a community, however they access that ride card, it's going to be changed for them. So that's a really nice way to get the group all on one page. And then of course I can hit write it. And like I said, follow track line is just going to be the line on the map. And I can zoom in with these buttons here, or I can pinch and zoom. I can move around the map. I can tilt it up by using 2 fingers and scrolling. And so you can see that elevation. You can see all the topography there.
Kyle, can you show us how you change the map and how you turn on 3D?
Yeah, absolutely. You have a lot of options on this main map, just from this button up here in the upper left, map styles. So this is how you would change the map. I can go with topo, I can go with satellite, land use, which is going to tell you what land type that is, if it's Forest Service, BLM, private. That's one of my favorites to use. I'm going to go down all the options on here, but I'm going to go through them quickly. So Live Ride is a feature that when you add friends in REVER and you both agree to show friends on the map, you can see where each other is at. You both have to have this toggled on in order for that to work. Another thing you can do with Live Ride is share a link with a loved one, share it with some friends. And this link right here, you can text that out. You can do whatever you want with that. It will show where you are riding and where you're at live. The only time it's not going to is when you don't have cell service. So what will happen is if you share this link out, your loved one's going to get both a Google location and a REVER link. So if they open up the REVER link, they don't even have to have a REVER account. They can see where you are and where you've been. With the Google link, they can see the last location that was recorded, and it's not going to be moving necessarily. It'll just be a static location. It's a really great safety feature. I would not, replace this with a beacon or anything like that, because it does rely on cell service. You do have to be connected. It'll show the last place you were when you go out of service, and then once you do pop back into service, it'll update to where you are. But while you're off the grid, it's not going to show your location. You can also set up an SMS message, a text message, so you can customize this to whatever you want, and you can have it automatically send, again, to a loved one, to a family member, or you can send it to your riding group and let them know that you're out riding right now and that they should come find you. That's a really cool way to use it. So that is Live Ride. Turn it on from the map styles. You can render maps in 3D. You can turn on AI Route Scout, which I explained on the website, which is segments, really cool segments to find. You can turn on all those POIs. The POI challenges that we mentioned before, this is how you would turn on those POIs on the map. And so you can see them. I'll just turn those on really quick and see which past climber challenges or POIs are near me. So there's quite a few. I can click on one, I can get directions to it. That's how you would show POIs. You got fuel points, restaurants, lodging, all the same ones, campsites through the dirt. You can turn on all the weather and traffic, radar, satellite, wind, storm cells, all those filters. And that comes in handy when you're not sure which direction you're going to ride for the day. And turn on the radar and maybe decide, I'm not going to ride directly into that storm cell. I'm going to go the opposite direction. Traffic overlays are pretty self-explanatory, but it will show you where traffic is backed up. It'll be red on the map. If it's clear, then it's green. As we scroll down, you have navigation controls. You can enable off-route alerts. So if you are using follow track line and you do get off the route that you had intended to be on, it'll send you alerts. Now, those can get annoying if the whole plan was to get off the track, and so you can also turn them off just with that toggle. You can put the zoom buttons on the main map, or you can hide them so that it's not cluttering your map, and then you can adjust the route line there so that it's easy for you to see it. But you can add offline map regions. Just by clicking this button, you can zoom in or out on how much data you want to put onto your phone, how much detail you want in the map, and then you just click download. This isn't always necessary when you get into a new area and you have cell service. One thing we recommend you do is scroll around that area, zoom in on it, and your phone's going to cache a lot of those map details. If you want to be 100% sure that you have the map details, though, you use that offline map feature. So just add a region there. I know you just asked about map styles, Maha, but I covered a lot more. What am I missing?
Not sure if you covered the basic setup for the app, screen lock and all that.
For a lot of first-time users, there are a couple things that you definitely want to do the first time you get into the app. And so you can either get to here from the profile screen or from the main map tab. If you get in here from the main map tab, you go to map styles, settings, and you can set up your app to behave how you want it to while you're using it. You can manage your subscription from here. You can change your password. You can set your account to private, and that's different than setting a ride to private. This will just automatically default all of your rides to private. So if you don't want to share anything with anybody, just set your privacy controls to private. The bummer about that is the challenges that we mentioned. You won't be eligible for any of the riding distance challenges because we aren't able to verify if you're actually riding. So on those ones where there's a prize involved, if you want to be eligible, make sure that you do make your account public. You can still hide rides by making them private. That's totally fine. And then this is actually a new feature here, blocked riders. I'll get into that in a little bit. You can change between miles and kilometers, the type of riding that you do. This is also another place where you can set privacy zones, and it works the same way it does on the website, so I won't get into that. Auto pause tracking. This one's kind of nice if you get off your bike and you walk around a lot, like you go and stop for a hike and you still have your phone with you and you don't want to track that. It'll automatically pause, or you have the option, if you do have this turned off, you have the option of pausing that ride tracking so that it doesn't track while you're off the bike. But this is a way to make sure that it automatically does it. And then you can set your push notifications. And this is the important one because the app will not allow us to set this as a default setting. But if you come into REVER for the first time and you try to navigate, about 5 minutes in, your phone is going to fall asleep. But what you do is you come into the settings and you hit disable screen lock, and make sure that's toggled on. And so now your phone will not fall asleep while you're navigating. That gets a lot of people. We'd love to set it as a default setting, but the app won't allow it. And so this is the way to make sure that your phone stays on and keeps displaying the route while you're navigating. You can hide your max speed if you so wish. This is kind of a legacy button. Part of the tracking with REVER is that you can track individually for each bike that you ride. And so if you don't own a bike any longer, but you want to still see the rides that you did on that bike, that's what this button is for. All your app permissions, you can see your offline maps that you've downloaded. And then this is just a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo. Definitely check that out in your own time. Really no reason for you to log out of the app when it's closed. It is not tracking you. It's only while you're open and recording a ride or navigating a ride, so you can stay logged in the whole time. Good call out there, Maha. Okay. Downloading a ride for offline use. So if you are going somewhere where there is no cell service, I'm going to hop back into the ride feed here. I'm going to back up even a little further because when you hop into your ride feed, it's going to look like this. Scroll over to my rides. I'll go with planned rides here. And then if I want to download this for offline use, I just click in here and download it right there. So now this ride is saved to my phone. I don't have to have cell service. I'm going to be able to see that track line. Now, if you try to use turn-by-turn directions, it'll work for a little bit until you have been out of cell service for a little while, and then it's not going to continue giving you turn-by-turn directions. Same is true for any off-road routes. It's likely not going to guide you down most Forest Service roads and that sort of thing. So offline rides, use follow track line. So I've discussed planning a ride, navigating a ride, editing that planned ride. We didn't really talk about Discover yet, but I feel like we covered it well enough on the website, so I'm just going to talk about where that's at. This binocular icon on the main map is how you discover rides, paved and all-terrain, and then you can go in and put those on the map. Do we have any live questions while I get this set back up again?
Yes, someone asked a question about how do you send friend requests. I said I would ask that one live because we have something coming.
And for that, I need to download our beta. This is not something you can do at home. This is our beta testing. But kind of cool to show you what's coming down the pipeline. So as far as managing friends and connections and inviting people and sharing out your account, your link, this is how it will be done in the future. So it's not going to be released for another week, I think, but this is the latest addition from our tech team. You go into your profile and you're going to see that friends are now my connections. And you can go in and search all of your connections. You can search, so it's broken up into two groups, the people you're following and the people who are following you. And you can search those individually, or you can just search for people outside of those two groups as well. You've got suggestions here. You can scroll through them. And then you can also manage those connections right from here. And so if you want to unfollow somebody, you can do it that way. If you want to block them from following you, there's the button right there. Now, if you want to add a friend, you can search them this way and just start following them. Or you can back up here and send an invite. And that's going to be done right here from Invite Writers. And this is a lot like our new social ride sharing feature, except this is going to be for your account. Somebody can scan that and they can follow it and become friends with you that way. You can put this on social media. You can also just share the link out if you want to text it or email it or send it through Slack. You can do it that way. And then this is an image, so you can download it. You can also change that image up by swapping photos. And I don't think you can change the color right now, but friends have been in REVER for a long time. The search was not always fully functioning, and now it is. It has been fixed, so you can search out other writers. You can organize your following and followers list a lot better, and that invite in a couple different cool ways. We didn't talk so much about sharing a ride from the mobile app. So Travis, do you want to walk through that and I'll demonstrate?
Yeah, so share a ride, just go to any ride you want to do, and this could be a ride that you're planning to do in the future or one that you've already tracked. But that right there works, so just click on the ride, and then you'll see the share icon right where Kyle's mouse is right there. And then from here, you can do share the link, and that would, oh yeah, also we'll go through that first. You can choose what you want to share, what style you want it to look like. So you can kind of scroll through there. This last one here is basically a transparent photo, so you can actually put in, you could copy just that and then put in your own photo in there, and then you can share that to social media. If you already have a photo on the ride, then it'll look a lot cooler because that'll kind of pop in the background with a lot of these different options. But yeah, you can just click the share link button. And this would go to anyone. So you could send this over text or email. And that way you can send it to one of your buddies and they can see what you did.
Yeah. Let's dive into some questions. There's still a lot more to cover with the app, but that's, like I said, with the website, just be curious and click around on things. Check out the different tabs. We didn't really get to talk about the participate tab here, but this is how you would join featured challenges. And then also find communities, just like we did on the web. Just scroll through there. You can click see more and search for other communities. By the way, we do have all of the BDR routes as a community in there, so you can find all the backcountry discovery routes. Rider Magazine was another one to find really good rides. We went through the map tab. There are a couple more things there. That reminds me, so Maha, you had a good call out in the disabling the screen lock. Another thing that's really important is when you're navigating, if you scroll around on the map, it's no longer going to follow your location unless you click this crosshairs right there. So if you've ever experienced that, it doesn't follow along with you. It's probably because you moved the map around, and all you need to do is just click the crosshairs and it'll start following again.
Yeah, and just a quick note, for it to follow you on iOS, it needs to look like the compass rose that you're seeing right there. If you have an Android, the icon will look like an arrowhead.
Yep.
If you want it to follow you.
Exactly. Okay, what questions do we have? Let's see. I always have a message in my rides. It tells me that there are some rides that are not synced with the database. Do you know why this is and how to fix it? So Jonathan is talking about in the rides feed. I'm going to go backwards on that. Under my rides, he'll see a banner up at the top that says there are rides that are not synced. This happens for two reasons. The first reason is because you attempted to save the ride while you were offline. And so it is going to save that to your phone only. And then you have to go in and physically pull this down and refresh it once you're in cell service again. And it will save it to the servers. And then you'll have that backed up. But if you do lose that ride before doing those steps, if you clear your cache on your phone or do something like that before you've had a chance to pull and refresh while you're connected, you will lose that ride because it's only saved internally and it's cached along with the other app data to your phone. And then
there's also a slight chance that it might have uploaded to the server and it just didn't communicate properly with the app, and the banner's still there, but if you check the website, your ride is already up there, so you can clear the cache to get rid of the banner after you make sure that the ride is up there.
Yeah, great point. TL asks if you're going into an area with no cell signal, if you have saved the route for offline use, do you also need to download the region for offline use? So you will want to save both of them if you want the underlying map data as well. If you just need the route line, you can kind of figure out, it depends on how much map data is cached to your phone as to how detailed the map will be once you do get offline. But generally, it's a pretty generic view of the roads and the mountains around you, but you can still find your way with just the route line. But if you do want all the map details and you haven't scrolled around, or you don't want to trust that scrolling around on the map is going to cache some of those map tiles, you will also want to download the map for offline as well. Will you get lost? Probably not. Will you be able to tell where other roads go? Definitely not if you don't download the map. Great question there. So Jeff is asking, if I'm doing a multi-day ride, how do I get a track of the entire ride? So let me think about this question. If you're doing a multi-day ride and you want a single track for all of it, you can, at the end of the day, when you're done riding, you can pause that ride. You can even close out of the app now. And when you open it back up, your ride will be there to resume. You certainly can do that to track one long segment. It does get a little bit iffy though. If your phone runs out of battery and dies, you will still have the track that you have already recorded. That will be saved to your profile, but you won't be able to resume it to continue that long segment. And I understand why people want this. There's a lot of iron butt riders out there. There's we had a story that we published last year. Two friends did all 50 or all contiguous US states, so all 48, and they did a ride through it and tracked it all as one route. That took a bit of luck, because usually what happens is your phone will fill up with cookies. As it's tracking those points, it takes a lot of data to track day after day after day after day. So it is possible, but it takes some practice and some extra room on your phone, and being diligent with tracking when you want to track and not when you don't want to track, and hitting resume. So it is possible, Jeff. Definitely practice that. In our closing notes, we do have additional resources. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, we have our YouTube channel at REVER Moto, where we do keep all of these whatever with REVER sessions. We record them and then put them out on there, so you can go back and see some old sessions. We also have much more digestible videos that we've started doing in the shorts section, so we call them short guides. Travis and Maha have both been helping out with those, and we tackle one feature at a time. They're super specific and they are less than 2 minutes, so check out the shorts for how to use some of these features, and we will be continuing to add to those as well. Next month, come out and see us at Daytona Bike Week. Travis and Blake, who was not on the call tonight, will be out there, and we're going to do a brag for swag challenge. So record your ride to Daytona Bike Week and then come find the booth. It will be, where's it going to be located, Travis?
We're going to be at the JMP Cycles. I think we got some information on exactly where that is earlier, but we will keep that posted on social media. So come by Daytona Bike Week, JMP Cycles, and find the REVER tent. We'll have some fun games going on, so come say hi.
Yep. And Travis can show you how to use the app there in person if you're still struggling with it. Outside of that, you see this featured route partners little snippet. So check your emails. We send out a couple monthly emails, including great rides. So we show you where some really cool places to ride are. We also do community curated rides of the month. If you are submitting those and you do get picked, you have a chance to win a Cycle Gear gift card, $25. So if you submit a really cool ride, you've got a chance to win that. Coming out this Friday, we've got our featured route partner, and we actually couldn't choose just one. We did a guide to the Southeast, and we have several route partners there. So it features Back Roads of Appalachia, Southern Dozen, and then Rides for Fun, which is a series of 8 meetups this year in the Southwest. Fred Bramblett puts that together in partnership with the BMW MOA. And so check your emails, look for that cool content, and thank you all for participating tonight. We appreciate the questions. We appreciate you tuning in and spending your time to learn a little bit more about the app. There's a lot in REVER, and we want to show you how to use it. If you come back next month, we'll dive in a little bit deeper to some of the planning and navigation features.
Thanks, everyone.